I was out antique shopping with my mom recently, which is something that we have to do every few months. Like medically, we're required to do it or we will go absolutely crazy and we'll have withdrawals. And while we were out, she mentioned to me that she really wants to get a new bathrobe, which I was so happy to hear. My sister and I have been making fun of her bathrobe for our entire life. Technically, I think it was actually my dad's bathrobe and she stole it, but we always called it her Jedi robes because that's what it looks like. Like, I genuinely can't think of a better way to describe it. It's very Yoda core, Tatooine style, Mace Windu couture. I don't know. Calling it couture is giving it a lot of credit. It's not very pretty, but it's been functional for her, I assume, since she's used it for decades. But she was saying how she wants to get a new one because this one's very heavy. It's not really good for the summer, but she's been having trouble finding one that she really likes because she wants it to be thinner. She doesn't want to get one that's satin. She didn't want fleece. She didn't want terry cloth or anything that tends to be a little more thick and absorbent. She wanted something a little thinner that would let her hair dry quickly. And so I'm gonna make my mom a new bathrobe that is functional and practical and comfy, but also really cute. Because listen, we all need clothing. There are practical things that we all need just a little nicer when it's cute, right? I think we can do a little better than something Obi-Wan would wear to go battle General Grievous. Maybe something Princess Leia would wear in Cloud City or something like that. So let's do it. Okay, so I took a little trip to Joann's, RIP. And my mom said very specifically she wanted flannel. So I bought this flannel. I think it was originally $10 a yard and I got it for 50% off. So it was pretty cheap. I wanted something blue. Blue is just such a calming, soothing color, which I think is what you want. You come out of the shower and even if, it's oh shoot, I gotta get my makeup and get my hair dry and run out somewhere else. It's nice to have something that makes you calm down a little bit just by looking at it. So I wanted a very serene blue, but I also wanted something floral because obviously with flannel, you have a lot of plaid options, which is fine. Love a good plaid. But I just felt like a floral pattern would just, make it a little more luxurious. It's a little bit different for a bathrobe. So I found this, which I absolutely loved. And so I took it up to the counter. And unfortunately, again, they are going out of business. So this was all they had left of this fabric. And I was like, okay, I was a little nervous. I think that I bought the fabric before I picked out the pattern, which is not something you should do. But I was like, okay, I got what they had. And then I picked out the pattern. And by a very happy coincidence, this is 3 3/4 yards, and the pattern calls for 3 3/4 yards. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers that this works out and I don't need any extra because I've been to Joann's a few times since then and I have not seen this anywhere. So I think I got the very last of this fabric. And I mean, obviously they're not restocking. So hopefully I don't mess this up and I have enough to actually cut it out. This is kind of a one and done, one chance kind of deal. So cutting always makes me nervous anyway, but this is especially nerve-wracking. But I guess let's just get to it.
I've never played Tetris, and honestly, I think my life would be better if I had. Whenever we go on a road trip, my husband has to repack all of my stuff because I throw everything together with the thoughtfulness of an angry baboon. And also, painstakingly arranging these pattern pieces would probably be easier. It felt like I was trying to solve one of those puzzles that are all one color. I didn't really know what I was going for. I just kept trying things and prayed they'd all fit.
Great news, you guys. We did it. All of the pieces are cut out. The belt we're gonna have to get a little creative with the belt. There are gonna be some flowers facing the wrong way, but there was just enough fabric for everything. This is literally all of the fabric I had left over. We just made it, but we did it. High five. Good work, team. Way to pull through. I was stress sweating. Oh my gosh. I actually need to put my hair in a ponytail after this. Okay, so the pieces are cut out. We were successful. I really love this pattern. I think that it's super cute. It's the Hilma Robe by Vicky Sews, and I'll have a link to it in the description. But it's just a nice, sort of basic robe, nothing like super fancy. But again, I think that's kind of what my mom's going for, just something comfy and functional. And I think it's going to be good. So, all right, first step I think is going to be prepping the pockets. So let's go do that.
Does anyone else find it absolutely impossible to pull the thread out of the little notch in the spool? I always have to get tweezers to do it. I'm completely incapable of just pulling it out with my fingers. And then, yeah, like I snapped the thread. So, oh, that's fun. There we go. Right. Finally got the thread started. All right, this is off to a wonderful start. I started by finishing the edges of the pockets, and then I took them over to the ironing board to fold down the edges. And somehow I lost all of the audio for this section. I have no idea how that happened, although it does kind of make me feel like a real YouTuber. I feel like everyone I watch on YouTube has had a moment where they're like, oh no, I don't know what happened to the audio here. So I'm like legit now. So I hope that you enjoy my completely random hand gestures and wild arm movements, because this section does look like a very bad dub of a foreign film. I was just talking about how it feels very appropriate that one of my last trips to Joann's was to buy fabric to make my mom this bathrobe, because my mom and Joann's were both very integral to me learning how to sew. So my mom is very into interior design. She always has been. Our house was a constant project. Like, I swear, the dining room wall, when I was a kid, I don't remember it ever being just one color. There were always paint swatches on that wall. And my mom is also very creative and very crafty. And so she used to DIY a lot of the home renovation projects herself. Like, she would make curtains. She tricked up kind of a cool cabana striped awning for my beach themed bedroom. She used to sew cushions. She would reupholster like her piano bench and things like that. And so she would drag my sister and I down to Joann's, when she was working on a new project and needed some new fabric, which I hated at the time. The only fun thing was that Joann's used to have little bags of fabric swatches, and so my sister and I would collect swatches, and then we would use that as blankets for our Polly Pockets or use it to make little clothes for them and stuff like that. But because my mom did a lot of sewing and crafting, we always had fabric and things around the house. And so eventually I started picking it up, and I also read a lot of, Anne of Green Gables, Little Women, books where women were sewing. And so eventually I gained an interest, and I started picking up my mom's leftover fabrics and started doing a little sewing myself. And I think my mom was the one who first taught me how to use a sewing machine. But also, one of my earliest sewing memories was her signing me up for a quilting class at Joann's. I know she still has the quilt somewhere. But that was kind of my first foray into sewing. And so, like I said, it's just very deeply entangled with both my mom and Joann's. And so it just feels appropriate for this gift from my mom to also be my swan song to Joann's in a way. Okay, every single time I sew a pocket like this, I think that I'm doing it wrong, but this is the correct way to do it. So I pressed the top down twice. I basically did a double hem. Then I'm gonna keep the top part folded the right way, but fold the second one the wrong way. And then I'm just gonna sew up this fold line here. And what that does, and I'll show you in a second, it just helps this side seam curl under really nicely so that the whole thing looks very clean and seamless. Okay, so now that I've sewed down both sides, I'm gonna flip it inside out. Make sure to get the corners. I like to use just like this little size 4 knitting needles to make sure that I really get the corners out there. And then you see it looks nice and clean, and it helps these side seams naturally roll inward. So we're looking pretty good. I'm gonna press this top part here and then sew along the sides, and then we'll be ready to move on.
So I have this lace that I want to use. I think that it goes so beautifully with the vibe, with this fabric, with everything that I'm looking for. I like that it's nice and simple. It's not too delicate and feminine like a more traditional lace, but I think just these little circles, almost these little pom-poms, just kind of elevate the piece a little bit. So I really want to incorporate this, but I can't decide if I should do it all the way around the edges of the pockets or if I just do it at the top here. That kind of looks like a little crown actually. That's kind of fun. So fun fact, most people think that you use a thimble to prevent pricking your finger, but the truth is a thimble is most helpful in pushing your needle if it gets a little stuck and needs a little extra help. And I did get stuck several times, and I do have a thimble, but I was feeling lazy, so I just used my thumbnail instead to help push the needle through. Probably not a good idea, not recommending it, but it does work in a pinch. All right, pockets are all done and ready to be sewn to the front of the robe. So I was holding this up to make sure that I pinned the pocket evenly, and I realized that I pinned it in the wrong spot. Let me see, sleeves right here. Yeah, pocket is all the way down here. That's a little bit low, so I'm gonna fix that. But hey, I feel like we're already looking pretty cute, right? I'm gonna repin this. So the pockets took a long time, but they are done. Finally, they are secure. They are pretty cute. And now we can finally move on to actually constructing the rest of the garment. So I'm gonna start, I got my back piece here and I am going to attach the front pieces to it at the shoulders. You know, some pins would probably definitely help out here. So this is how we're looking so far. It is getting a little late, so apologies for the lighting. But yeah, overall, I think it's looking good. So I have the front piece secured at the shoulders. I have the back collar kind of sewn up. Got the pockets, obviously. I have to say, it is so nerve-wracking sewing for someone else, which is part of why I don't do it often. And this is just, you know, one, it's my mom who's super sweet, and obviously she's gonna love it and be like so appreciative and everything, regardless of, you know, oh no, I used the wrong color thread in one place. Like, you know, she's not gonna care that much. And it's also a bathrobe. It's a garment that you wear around the house. It's not like, you know, other people are gonna be seeing this or anything. But still, I am such a perfectionist, and you add on the extra layer of you're sewing for another person, and I'm like, everything has to be absolutely perfect. And it's very scary, so, but it's okay. That's kind of the nice thing about sewing a bathrobe for another person. You know, you don't really need to worry about fits, just for them to wear in the comfort and privacy of their own home, which is part of why, you know, it's a great gift. And hopefully it turns out great, but we'll see. We're gonna continue. I think that the next step is going to be putting on the front facing, so helping all of this look a little more finished. So let's do it.
Wow, I look like I'm working by gaslight, like I'm a Victorian clerk balancing ledgers at midnight. Seems like Ebenezer Scrooge is about to come in and tell me that he's not giving me my Christmas bonus.
All right, we are on to day 3. Hopefully we can finish today because we're going on a trip next week and I have clothes that I want to make for that. Plus also, I've gotten quite a bit of makeup on the neckline of this top, taking it on and off. All right, so yesterday I pinned the front facing to the front of the bathrobe, and then obviously I started panicking because I was like, wait, do I want to include the little lace trim that I put on the pockets up the side of the front facing? And I was agonizing over that for quite a while. Ultimately, I've decided against it, which could be a mistake. It might look super cute with that. This is my first time making it. I've never made any kind of a bathrobe before. I certainly never used this pattern before. And so I'm not 100% sure on how things are gonna fit together and what it'll look like all done. And so I just wasn't confident enough that it would look cute. And I was also a little bit worried that like maybe it would cause like a little bit of irritation. But anyway, that's where we are. Like I said, a little concerned about the front facing because there is supposed to be like a little collar and stuff with it. So I've been reading over the instructions in advance, which is not something I usually do, and that has burned me many times when it comes to cooking. It's just gonna have to be a step-by-step sort of blind faith situation, which typically does work out well in sewing patterns, I will say. I'll be doing all of these things and I'm like, no idea how this is actually gonna turn out, and then it turns out pretty well. So hopefully that is what happens here. But anyway, we're gonna tackle the front facing and hopefully get this all wrapped up. So let's go. Okay, so now I'm supposed to clip into the seam allowance at the lapel break. Absolutely no idea where that is or what that is. I assume that's like the bottom of the collar, but there is nothing on this pattern that indicates any sort of lapel break. The belt loops are indicated right here very helpfully. That's really nice. But there's nothing about a lapel break. By the way, this is how I imagine it must be. It must have been navigating before GPS and the Maps app were a thing. Just giant piece of paper desperately searching for your destination and how on earth you're supposed to get there. Life must have sucked back then. I really don't know where this lapel break is supposed to be, so I'm just gonna take my best guess. This notch seems to be where the curve kind of evens out. I checked the pattern for the front facing, by the way, too, and it didn't have it there either. So I'm gonna just assume that it's this notch right here, and if it's not, that's really gonna suck. Anyway, I'm supposed to clip into the seam allowance at the lapel break. I'm just gonna do it here, and then above the lapel break, I'm supposed to be understitching to the front pieces. Below the lapel break, I'll be understitching to the facing. Well, we'll see how it works out.
Sorry, I guess I was possessed by the spirit of Picasso. I don't know what's up with this surrealist camera angle. Or wait, Picasso was cubist, wasn't he? Dali was surrealist. I don't know. Regardless, I guess let's just call the camera angle an artistic decision.
Okay, so I finally figured out, I think this was the notch that I used, and I finally realized that there is this random line. I didn't know what that was before. I think this line indicates the lapel. So this should be the lapel break right there. So I think I was correct. Okay, so I just made this little loop and attached it to the back of the neckline. So hopefully if my mom wants to hang this up on like, you know, a little hook or something like that, she can. Okay, I am shocked. So this is it just pinned down, and as you can see, like, we have the lapel. It's looking good, like everything worked out. I am like 98% certain that I did do something wrong because it was not phrased as simply as just to pin down the facing in the instructions. It was like, below the lapel break, you need to do like this certain thing, and above it, you need to do it a certain thing, and I basically just did it the same all the way around. But it looks good, right? Like you can tell. Obviously it still looks a little funny because the sides are still wide open here, but you can see it has a lapel. That is such a relief. I really thought that this was gonna take me like all night to figure out. And like I said, I think I did something wrong, but it still looks good. So who cares?
And I do just kind of low-key regret not doing the lace trim all around. That would have been cute, wouldn't it have? Oh well. Sorry, Mom. I blew it. I hope you like it anyway. All right, let's get this sewn up. Let's do it. So I sewed the facing to the front pieces. Then I made and attached a couple of belt loops. After that, I pinned in the sleeves and I sewed them in. And I sewed up the side seams from the bottom of the robe all the way up to the end of the sleeves. And wow, okay, why do I look like I'm in a Thomas Kincaid painting? That is the dreamiest light I've ever seen. Finally, I hemmed the bottom of the robe and the sleeves. Okay, you guys, we are almost done. And apologies again for the creepy lighting. I wish I knew how to do like shadow puppets, because that would be I have the perfect setup for that right now. Anyway, so I have finished the robe itself. And it's funny, actually, as I was like sewing up the sides and stuff like that, my mom was doing one of her favorite things, which is texting Jeopardy questions to the group chat. So I was fielding Mom's Jeopardy questions in between sewing her bathrobe. And I got almost all of them right. There was one I got confused between Emerson and Hawthorne, which Emerson, Hawthorne, and Thoreau are basically all the same person. But anyway, the only thing left to do is the belt. So, as you know, I was running a little low on fabric, so we are getting a little bit scrappy, ha ha ha. Sorry, that was bad. With the belt. So I managed to cut out this pretty long piece, but you can see the florals are all going this way. And then for the rest of it, I cut out these pieces and the florals are facing a different direction. So I'm just gonna sew one of these to like both ends. So the flowers will be facing a different direction on both sides of the belt. But it's okay, the belt will do what it needs to do. And then just fold the belt in half, sew it all up, and we're done, you guys. That's it. Way to go. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll see you for the big reveal. This is it. I think it turned out pretty dang cute. It's definitely very comfortable. Hopefully my mom likes it. I think she will. And at the end of the day, I hope that it's just something that she can really enjoy and get a lot of wear out of and feel cute and comfortable in, and just, feel loved. Know that I was thinking about her, and I'm so happy to celebrate her, and I'm so grateful for her and everything she does and all of the time that we get to spend together. At the very least, there should be no more Jedi robes, which I think is a win for everyone. My mom does really, really hate being on camera. She doesn't like any pictures really or anything like that. So I'm not gonna ask her to try it on or probably show you guys what it looks like on her. But if I record any of the reveal, I'll put a little clip in here.
What is this? Did you make me a robe?
Oh my God, that's so good.
Get you a robe.
Because the robe she has is horrible.
Did you make it?
I made it, yeah.
Oh,
You.
thank you.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
I am so excited.
That's it.
Oh my goodness, I love it. I love everything about it. It's so much nicer than the
Oh, it's It's worn out.
It is
Yeah.
worn.
It's
It's got holes in the
Oh,
sleeves. It's like,
I mean, it's 30 years old.
it's older than that. You've had that before we got married, and we've been married almost 32 years. Well, and you guys used to wear it to play Star Wars in.
Yeah.
This is, I could not have bought one I love more than this.
Thank you for coming on this journey with me. If you enjoyed it and if you would like to see more sewing and style videos, please be sure to subscribe and give this video a little thumbs up. It's an easy way to support me so that I can continue making more videos like this, which I had a lot of fun. I would really like to. All right, I'm actually getting a little hot in this now, so I'm gonna take it off before I start sweating in my mom's presence. That would make it a lot less pleasant, I think. So I'm gonna go take it off and wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.